What's up, everybody? I am driving back to my apartment. Thought it would be a great opportunity to do a review on the movie Joker. I watched it last night and it was incredible. It was very messed up, very disturbing, dark, twisted. Anything that you could put with the Joker, as far as in the disturbing category, it's there. Joaquin Phoenix is the man. That dude does a great job. You couldn't find a better actor for this role than him. He does a phenomenal job at being dark and twisted and basically the creepiest man on the planet, where you are just, I mean, you've got the shivers going down your spine. A couple of the scenes where he's just standing there just looking creepy. And at the same time, you feel for the guy throughout the movie. He walks the tightrope of being repulsive, repellent, and creepy with endearing and almost lovable and tender in some ways. So he did a great job with his role. Front to back, it was, it was kind of slow, but it was heavy and dark all throughout it, and they were able to balance it in a way where, I don't know, you'd go through phases where he would do things in his bizarre way and you're kind of chuckling to yourself about him. Other spots you're jumping and you're like, oh, did that seriously just happen? And other parts you are, you're feeling for him, you're loving him. And great movie overall, though. I have to point out, though, there are some definite political comparisons or parallels that are running in this movie, and they didn't really come out at all. I was so glad they didn't really come out, because I was like, the last thing I want is to have some political garbage in this movie. Do not spoil a great possible masterpiece by tainting it with your director views of your politics and what you want to try to tell the world, to try to preach to them about something. Leave it out. They left it out for the most part, except for subtly, until one spot where they clearly, and if this is something, this isn't really going to spoil anything, but hey, if you don't want to watch this until you've seen it, fine. But if there's a spoiler alert, I guess here's the section where there will be a spoiler alert. Okay, so Thomas Wayne, Bruce Wayne's dad, is running for mayor. They clearly, in one of the scenes, made it look like he was essentially Gotham City's version of Donald Trump. They even had one poster in the crowd of the Jokers that are in the crowd protesting, and they made a version of Thomas Wayne that looked almost exactly like Donald Trump. So, and then he said a line where he said something about, like, you know what, I'm your only hope. And they painted it in he's a rich, evil man, so how could he ever help people? He's definitely just out for himself. There throughout the movie, then you saw the other subtleties that were there, where they're like, telling Joker that, the world doesn't give a crap about him, doesn't give a crap about this social worker that's trying to help him. All these people that, are kind of on the lower end of society. And I will say this about the movie. They did a beautiful job at towing the line of that down and out, the space that the Joker was in. He had it rough, and the way that they painted it, the way that they portrayed it for him, they did a great job at putting you into the seat where you can watch, the literal seat in the theater where you can watch the development of this almost like fragile individual turn into this complete monster. But they do it with some philosophies that are very prevalent right now. So one of the things that I've been doing in my spare time is I've been building my vocabulary, and it just so happened that before I went and watched the Joker last night, there's these words that I was learning on my Audible app, And these words just happens to deal with people that make deceptive philosophies that sound compelling and they sound correct, but they are, at the core, they are false, and they will lead you astray if you buy into them. So a sophist, it's spelled S-O-P-H-I-S-T. Sophist or sophist is essentially a person who makes those clever arguments based off of some Greek character who did that back in the day in Greek times. Now, a couple other words were specious and spurious. Specious is a word, and spurious are very close. They are adjectives describing the type of rhetoric that you would make as far as a clever sounding argument that is ultimately deceptive. The big difference is intent. A specious intent is somebody that is trying to deceive you. A spurious intent is somebody who isn't trying to, but they're still giving you an incorrect argument. And in this movie, you see a lot of that. Whether it's specious, where the director writing this, I'm not going to take it to that extent to say that he's trying to deceive you into believing something false. I think most of the stuff that we see by a lot of people in our society is spurious, where they are telling things, philosophies that sound good, they sound compelling, they emotionally will pull on your heart, where you can relate to them and you want to buy into it. But ultimately, they are incorrect arguments. So the thing that is incorrect about it, that is kind of like, I think, dangerous and poisonous to our society, that seems to be everywhere, is that if you are trying to help someone, and if you try to tell them that they need to help themselves, then they will immediately come back with, you don't know what it's like to be me. And you have no idea what it's like to walk in these shoes. This was what the Joker was essentially saying. And the victims that were also his followers, essentially, they were angry because they were poor and they were feeling like the wealthy didn't care about them. So you take the Joker, he said a couple lines that I think were kind of important to selling this narrative. He was saying at one spot that he used to think that he didn't exist, and he didn't think that anybody else thought that he existed, but now he realizes that he does. And then that combined with a statement where he said that he was talking to his mother and said, you know, you used to say that I had a condition, the way that I laugh, but I realized that there's nothing wrong with me. It's not a condition. And then he goes on to, now this is definitely a spoiler alert, so it's gonna give away a pretty major part in when he goes on the Tonight Show. So don't listen if you don't want to hear this. Robert De Niro is the host, and he goes on and he basically furthers that by saying, you people are awful, you don't give a crap about us, and you don't understand us. And then he proceeds to shoot Robert De Niro in the face. So that's the end of Robert De Niro. But that is something that you see where you take the argument, you feel for him, but at a certain point, they extended it too far. When somebody uses that argument all the way up to the point where now they're murdering people, saying, I am who I am, leave me alone, you have no idea what it's like to be me, that's where their argument breaks down. There's clearly a spot in which you need to be able to say to somebody, all right, dude, you need to get help. There are some issues going on here, and we need to work through them. We are not going to condone you murdering people just because you feel like that's who you are, and that it's natural for you. That is clearly not a correct way to handle the situation. But what you'll see in our society is just that. What they do is they will attack you. If you say, if you were to point out to somebody that they're crazy, which clearly the Joker was crazy, But if you point that out to him, then our society, the poisonous thing about it is they will try to tell you that you are the one in the wrong, not based off of the fact that they actually are crazy, based off of the etiquette in which you told them that they are crazy. They are more concerned with the offense that you give somebody for telling them the fact, because they are trapped in an emotional situation where they are trying to protect the emotions of someone, even though the emotions might not be helping the person to achieve the actual facts of truth to help them better themselves in an actual tangible way. So that is present throughout this film. There is a lot of the poisonous, like victimhood, the rich people made them this way type of thing, and if only the rich people would listen, then we wouldn't have to go out and kill these people and burn all these cars. And, you know, basically the Joker being who he is. But with that being said, the movie itself, get away from the politics, leave that alone, watch it, think what you want to think about it. I thought it was an awesome movie, and politics aside, I mean, they did a good job at showing how he got where he is, and in a believable manner. So I suggest watching this movie, but then also, you know, the philosophies, finding out if something is a specious argument or a spurious argument. Ultimately, like, they are both incorrect. One is people purposely leading you astray. The other is one he's saying these arguments to you. He might actually believe them in an honest way, but he's still wrong. So that's the biggest thing. All right, I'm done ranting. Watch the movie. It's awesome. Watch it with what I'm saying in mind about the philosophy of it, because it's definitely there. All right, love you guys. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow me on Facebook and on Twitter. Love you guys. Bye.